Well, guys, it's been a minute, but we are back. I am back. I want to thank you guys for tuning on in. Hopefully, you guys didn't forget about me. I am Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I hope you guys have been doing pretty well. It has been quite the crazy last week and a half. As you guys know, I went to the Colorado A&A Money Show. Let's just say things didn't exactly happen the way that we intended it to happen. Some pretty big health scare type news. Not to mention that we got stuck in a blizzard. So I will do a separate video talking about that here in the next day or so after this report video. We haven't done a pocket change market report in nearly a week and a half. And I'm glad to be I'm glad to be back on the horse here, guys. And I hope you guys are doing really well. I missed y'all. So if this is your first time here, we're going to take a look at some of these sales coming from eBay. We're going to do actually a little bit shorter PCMR today. Not due to a lack of activity. I could have done my regularly scheduled 30, 35, 40-minute long video. And, you know, the market is incredibly robust right now. We're seeing the silver market, gold market, all of these markets have been doing really well lately. And that's kind of had a burst effect on everything else in the numismatics world. And that's also including varieties and errors, okay, which is what this video is generally geared towards. People that go out there and they find these coins, searching through their change, coin roll hunting, eBay cherry picking, coin shops, coin shows, you name it. You add something really nice to your collection or you resell it. I know a lot of people that do this for a living, that they go out and they actually resell for a living, and that's how they pay their bills, they make their money. So you're going to get the first-hand look of what the current market activity is on some of these marquee coins that can be found as simply as just picking up a bankroll from your bank. We don't have to talk about graded coins, which is one of the points I normally make on this video. Keep the money in your pocket. The coins tend to speak for themselves, especially the very high-end stuff. We've seen some of these higher-end coins sell raw, and they've still commanded a full market, even without the graded slab. So keep that in mind. And then finally, we're going to look at these original coin images direct from the seller's listings. Okay, we didn't juice or doctor any of these to make them look better. So I thought I'd let you guys know that that is indeed the case. You're going to get the best and worst photos that eBay has to offer. And just wanted to also let you know that, you know, the bar is really not set too high. If you could take decent photos with your smartphone device, you should be in good shape here. I know that's how I do it. So with that being said, please do keep that in mind. All right, believe it or not, you know, we are back at the helm here. We do have one auction this week. Actually, I was going to do a show last night. Decided I was just too dog tired to do one, so I ended up pushing that one back to Friday. And then my original Friday show is going to be pushed back 2 weeks. Excuse me. So we do have our post A&A Money Show coin and currency auction showcase. That's going to be happening tomorrow night, Friday, March 22nd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come by, check things out. The show is live to where you can bookmark it and get ready for tomorrow's show. If you haven't signed up, good news. I do have my referral link down below in the description box. I'll even tag it in the comment section as well. If you wanted to come by, check things out, maybe buy some coins. You know, we have a lot of affordable coins. We got some nicer coins as well. There's going to be some selections from the A&A Money Show that you will also see on here as well. You know, I'm looking forward to coming back. I haven't been on Whatnot in almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the day since we've done a show. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope to see a lot of you, the same faces, same folks, but also the new people as well. Come on by, check things out, see how this all works. It's a phenomenal platform to buy, sell. All right. So that's it. Let's go ahead and race through this list. We only got about 20 listings. Again, that's not for a lack of trying. Getting back into it. I'm just kind of gonna slow roll through it here a little bit, so that way, I'm still very tired right now. It's been a very long week. 1946S Roosevelt dime. This one right here is a little bit off center, and this one was done out of collar. All right, so the collar had disengaged, malfunctioned at some point before it struck this coin, and therefore the metal flow actually extends outwards during the strike. It doesn't stop at the collar, which normally holds the coin in place on this one. And for, again, I see in the 1.5 weeks I've been gone, I was thinking that these Roosevelt dime errors are simply just a short-term trend, but here we are. These prices have been so ridiculous. Like this one ended up selling for $118.99. Whereas if you look back a year ago, similar coins like this, even dipping all the way back to 1946, it didn't matter if it was a Philly, Denver, or San Francisco, they were selling for about half this money. All right, so looks to be that there are new players in the game of Roosevelt dime errors, and that is highly reflective on some of these prices. The next one that we have here, pretty similar to our previous coin. This is a 1995 Lincoln Memorial set. We've showcased many coins from this particular seller, but this one right here, again, an out-of-color broad strike. It's very well centered. It's large. It's probably as big of a nickel, as maybe even a little bit bigger than that. One of the more common dates that we've seen come across on these PCMRs. So, it's not one that if you don't have one, wait a week or two, you'll more likely see another 95. Similar to like 99, 2000, 2001. Those are more common dates for off-center strikes and broad strikes. This one right here is sold for $22. Okay, pretty nice. When they're large and this well-centered, they're going to command a lot more of a premium. And by the way, that double profile look on Mr. Lincoln there, that's quite normal on these type of strikes, as the copper plating is very razor thin and they tend to split during these out-of-color events. The next one that we have here, this is quite subtle, and you can blink and completely miss this one. This is an 1886 Indian head set, grading out about a VG10, maybe a fine 12 on the best of days. Not a spectacular coin by any means. Looks like there's even a few scrapes there on the obverse that, if you ask some of your more discerning collectors, they're going to call that a problem coin. But when we look at the reverse of this coin, you're going to notice on the wreath especially, there's quite a bit of weakness on the strike on the left-hand side of that wreath. And that's attributed to grease, the grease that were on that die. They call this a struck through grease or maybe a filled die issue, which did exist, 140 years ago. So this one right here sold for $29.99. Pretty good considering that this is a coin in this condition that you can buy for between $3 and $5. That is a really nice flip. And again, this represents an opportunity where you guys can go out there and find coins that are raw, that aren't attributed as any specific error, or maybe this is a coin that's in a kind of like bulk group of like lower end Indian head sets. And if you recognize things like this, you could turn around and really, really cash in pretty hard on it. The next one that we have here, we have actually talked about. This is actually a very impressive mint error on a 2017 Iowa Effigy Mounds National Park quarter. Very impressive strike through on the reverse there on one of those mound animals. Looks to be like an eagle type of character right there on the reverse. So there was actually a big mass of grease and debris that was on the reverse die prior to the strike, and that's how things like this happen. As you know, this one is a Philadelphia minted example. The Philadelphia mint tends to crank out more of your mint errors, as the quality control isn't nearly as high and tight as it is at the Denver mint. When we look up close, the seller did a really good job pushing a lot more of these directional arrows, and they even put a little text in there to help showcase and sell what they have here. And because of that, this one coin sold for $17.27. Heck of a lot more than just 25 cents in face value. If you recognize something like this, they do come in various shapes and sizes. The much bigger ones tend to sell for more money. We do have a couple pieces of currency here on the list. This is a 1974 $5 bill with what we call in the hobby a gutter fold. All right, so that's that clean spike right there in the middle of the portrait. The subject sheet actually had a little bit of a wrinkle that was printed over, and that's how things like this happen. So if the wrinkle isn't stretched out during the prep stage of the printing processes, then obviously you're going to end up with things like this, and it'll affect multiple notes if it wasn't remedied. On the reverse, you could tell that it did stretch out at one point. I don't know if that's the machine stretching it out or a BEP employee actually doing that because they did recognize the wrinkle. Again, the production of paper money is a imperfect process. When you have many tens of thousands of subject sheets that you're working with and under immense pressure of the load of just the stacking aspect of it, wrinkles will happen. All right. So this one right here sold for $27.99 with 9 bids. Pretty good. Very, very average amount of money for something like this. The bigger the gutter fold, the more that you're going to get. And generally, more gutter folds on the same note will equate to more dollar signs. One of my favorites here this week, this is a 1975 Lincoln set. Now, as the taping of this video, I believe the seller actually ended up reselling this or relisting it for whatever reason, but let's go ahead and talk about the preliminary sale. It's very much worth exactly what it sold for the first time around. 1975 Lincoln Memorial set that is double struck in color, but it's also a flip over event. You have what looks to be some of the strike of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse of the coin and vice versa. You can actually see a partial date where it says United on the reverse. So the coin struck once, it didn't eject properly, it stayed in the striking chamber, and the coin actually flipped over during that time, and it struck a second time. All right, thereby creating one of my favorite mint errors. I've owned only one of these, and I don't have it anymore. I actually sold it about 10 years ago, and I'm looking to add another one, but the prices on these things have jumped up considerably. This one right here sold for $525 during that first initial sale. It'll be interesting to see how much this one sells for the next go around. It is definitely worth about $500, if not more, especially when you have 2 readable dates. 1966 Jefferson nickel. All right, this is one that's eluded a lot of folks over the years. Hard to believe this coin is almost 60 years old. But you can see this one as what we call a cud die break at the base of Thomas Jefferson's bust. Normally where Felix Schlage's initials would be, a piece of the die had broken off right in that area. Excuse me. And thereby creating this event. When there's an empty cavity in the die and the coin is struck, all the metal flow goes into that empty cavity, thereby creating this raised blob anomaly on that particular area. And you do have a corresponding weakness on the reverse in that same area too. So cuds are, of course, the kings of the error world. This one ended up selling for $29.99, which is about average for these type of cuds, which are quite common on Jefferson nickels in terms of placement. Poor thing right here. This thing got all beat up. Intentionally defaced coin, 1978 Washington quarter. Someone probably scraped into it to see if it's a legit coin, and it is. It's a coin that's off center by about 15-20%. If it wasn't for all of the gouges and scrapes there, this would be a very, very impressive coin. However, in this particular condition, it is worth a little bit less, but it is not worthless. This one right here sold for $34.99. Okay, even damaged coins still have some sort of a market out there. There's going to be an ass for every seat. Pardon my French, by the way. That's just the way it goes for these. But it's also a much more affordable way to get into these, what are generally higher priced error types. This is like a $50 or $60 coin on any other day of the week without the defaced scratches on there. And here's one that's been quite some time since I've seen this. This is a 2021 Philly. This is our good old crossing the Delaware reverse there. What the heck is going on there on the reverse? Well, in this particular case, this is a feeder finger type of strike through. They call it a field restricted strike through is its actual terminology. But you can see the feeder finger scrapes. That's a mouthful, by the way. Along with some strike through right there under Washington's arm area. This is very impressive. I think the last time I've seen one of these sell was actually on a coin that was in high mid-state condition. It was probably found very early on, and it was a little bit bigger than this one. So this one right here, I lament to say it only sold for $9.99, but again, condition still does play a role here. And considering that there are bigger, much more impressive sized strike throughs of this type, they will certainly go up in value the bigger that they are. So $10 sale here on this one. It almost feels like a genuine steal, but in reality, that's simply just a market for a coin that is pretty well circulated. This one here, quite crazy. This is a what looks to be a 1985 $10 bill. This is actually a what they call a fold over error. So this one right here, I guess you could say, could have been a large gutter fold during the third print process, but more appropriately, this is more of kind of like a weird fold over type of event. Someone did write all over it mute, whatever that means. I don't know if that's a banking professional that did that or someone who ended up with the note out of a bank strap. Kind of hard to say. But you can see the overprint all the way to the right side of the note. You can imagine when this thing is folded in, it's going to be in the right positioning on the front of the note. When we look at the back, pretty wild and crazy here. So the note was cut while it was folded in. This one right here sold for $217.37. Looks like with 6 bids on there, and that's even again with the annotations of mute on the front of the note. Here's another one here, another gutter fold on this 1977 $10 bill. A little bit older, but you can see that anomaly there on the right side of the note as well, which again is a wrinkle in the subject sheet prior to any of the printing. This particular example was a buy it now hit for $94.90, and that does include shipping. I tend to add shipping and the cost of the note together, as that is the true value of ownership for that piece. The next couple coins that we have here, I'm going to say that this seller has sold quite a few of them and has done a pretty good job at trying to find some of these amazing varieties. These are all 2 feather buffalo nickels, and he or she sold probably about a dozen of them, all in one swath. But I will let everybody know that each and every single example that was sold were actually dipped in acid. And I have a feeling that all of these coins probably didn't have a readable date. And you would normally do what they call nicodate, which is a product of a type of acid that you put over the area where the date is, and it would restore the date. So in this particular case for this seller, he just throws a whole nickel in the nicodate stuff, so that way you get a nice even kind of, I guess, look at the coin. Rather than just the date being restored. The whole coin is restored. It looks to be a much higher grade than what it normally is. This one is a 1919S, by the way. Tough date. This one sold for $9.45, and that's with 11 bids. Here's a much more scarce one, but, based off of the porosity and the look of this coin, this one's been dipped in acid. 1917S, another two-feather buffalo. These are all attributed, by the way, as FS401s, which are a cherry picker guide variety. This one sold for $26.45, and that's with 11 bids. Our good old friend, the Extra V 2023 Lincoln Shield Scent, is back on the list. There was one that sold here in the last, I would say, 12 to 18 hours. This is actually a decent looking one, but again, most folks that buy into these, they buy them and then they send them off to a grading company like NGC or PCGS. They are attributing these as the Extra V variety, and when they come back in a grade 65 or higher, they turn around and flip them and make some money that way. So that's what they're doing. This one, however, I don't think would hit 65, but it still managed to sell for $39.99. If you look here next to Victor David Brenner's initials at the base of Lincoln's bust, you can see a little V notch there on the right side. And that's what you're looking for. All right. So these were distributed in the state of New York back just last year. So if you're in that area, more than likely you're going to come across one of these. And at first I thought this one was a played around with quarter. Just jerry-rigged to make it look like a missing clad layer, and it is. This is a legit one. It took me a while, and I've examined this one for a while. But the one thing that got me into saying that this one is a legitimate error is that you have a pretty nice amount of weakness in the strike, even showing on the reverse, which is what you want to see. All right, this one was not dipped in acid from what I can see. It's a pretty crazy looking shape too. I actually like this coin. This is a North Dakota, it looks like. North Dakota partial clad layer error. And this one sold for $84.24. So that's a pretty nice one there. 1943, at first when I looked at this, I'm like, wow, this thing is dipped in or copper plated, but it's not. It's just the lighting here. 1943 Lincoln Steel Scent with a cud there at the base of Lincoln's bust. All right, so very impressive coin right here, even in this condition, showing that nice size cud there at the base. Very popular coin, for what it is. It's a one-year type composition. This one here sold for $69.95, and that's with 16 bids. Here's another piece of currency. Kind of neat here. I'm sure this one would have been a pretty good find by anyone because it's just kind of crazy. But this is a 1988A $1 bill with some ink smearing on both the obverse and the reverse of the note. This one right here is, we call it, I guess, ink bleeds if you wanted to. This one sold for $46 with 12 bids. And you can see some of the ink smear right in these areas here. So right there over United States, and then on the reverse where it says of America, you have the same appropriate color of ink runs. It's anybody's guess what happened here. It could possibly be that the ink wells were over full, and they do kind of like thin these down with solvents. So with that being said, this is kind of like the byproduct of what you have here with it. An overly runny type of ink situation. So $46. It's what we're looking at here on this one. 12 bids. Very nice note that was discovered very early on. And we also have a 1985 $10 bill here as well. This one featuring a misaligned, I guess, second print, is what we have here on this one. Pretty nice. You can see the overprint is centered to the note, but the base initial print on the front, all the black print with Hamilton's portrait and all that stuff. It's showing that it's very crooked. So the subject sheet was a little bit crooked prior to the print of this one. When we look at the reverse, perfectly centered here. This one sold for $69.88 with 20 bids. Pretty nice piece. I like the condition of this one. All right, compared to the other one with all the scratches, here's a nice problem-free 74, all centered by about 15% washed and quarter. Really cool one here. This one sold for $58.99 with 20 bids. Excuse me. Again, something like this would be pursued by someone that's putting together a date set. So, very nice piece. This is one that if you're looking for something like this for a date set, this is probably the best one that you would find. Nice full readable date and things like that. And the final coin for this episode of the PCMR, again, we're doing an abbreviated show here this week. 1983 Doubled Die Reverse FS801. This is such a cool coin. I love this thing. Has been one of the more desirable varieties in the last 4 years. These things have risen up to a whole new level of popularity. This coin right here, no exception. You can see the doubling on the reverses. Second to none. All right. Admittedly, the coin does exhibit what looks to be cleaned surfaces. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but it might just be the photography. But again, you always have to be careful. It's sitting here being sold as a raw coin for a reason. A lot of people, if they feel like they have a really nice specimen that shows like really nice luster, it looks like it was struck yesterday, they'll tend to grade those and they'll sell for a little bit more of a premium. That's really the only exception I would say. Go ahead and grade your coin, just to make sure it's problem free. So this one right here is sold for $165.50. Beautiful variety. Can't stress enough. This one needs to be on your list if you're out cherry picking. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Glad to see you guys back again. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Information provided is not financial advice. I wanted to reiterate that. Please do grade and collect responsibly as always. And that's it. Your boy Blue, Sean, here with the PCMR for the week. I will see you guys again on Saturday with another PCMR. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And come check me out on Whatnot. I'll be again live tomorrow on Friday, March 22nd. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Have fun cherry picking and the search. And I'll see you next time. Take care.